Today I'm going to be showing you how to make slippers out of granny squares. So in this video I'll be using a 5mm hook, so the first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot. And then you're going to chain 4. Then you're going to slip stitch into that first chain to form a loop. And then chain 5. Then you will be placing 3 double crochets into that center loop. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And the next thing you're going to do is chain 2, and then do 3 more double crochets. Those chain 2 spaces are going to be our corners. Okay, so you did 3 more double crochets, so now chain 2 again, and another 3 double crochets. And then chain 2 again. You can see it's starting to look like a square already. And then we're just going to do 2 double crochets here instead of 3, because that chain 5 acts as a double crochet and the chain 2 space. So technically we've already done 1 double crochet, so we only need 2 instead of 3. And then you're going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain of that chain 5. And it's looking like a square now. And then to finish off, just slip stitch into that chain 5 space. So that's round 1. So for round 2, chain 5. And do 2 double crochets into that same loop. And then what you're going to do is just place 1 double crochet into each of the previous double crochets. So there'll end up being 3 until you get to the next chain 2 space. So there's 2. And that's your last one. So now in the chain 2 space, this is what you're going to do for every corner. You're going to do 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 more double crochets. So that's not going to change for this entire tutorial. Every corner will be 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets. So then you're going to place 3 more double crochets in each of the last double crochets. I'm just going to speed it up. I'm not really sure if it makes it easier or harder using multicolored yarn, but it looks cool, so you're halfway done there. And as you can see, those chain 2 spaces in the corner are what keep it square instead of circular. Okay, so right here is a little bit different. So you're still going to place your 3 double crochets. And then you're going to do 1 more double crochet, but you're going to do it in the row below. So just watch there. And that is the end of that corner. So then you can go ahead and slip stitch into the 3rd chain. And slip stitch into that center loop. So that completes round 2. For round 3, you're going to start by chaining 5 and placing 2 double crochets into that loop. And then 1 double crochet into each of the previous double crochets. And same thing for the corners, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 more double crochets. So I'm just showing you the whole thing even though it's fast forward. And this is your last round. So you're going to need to make 12 of these squares, 6 for each slipper. So I recommend just making the 12 of them first, and then you can come back and sew them all together. Oops, I did 1 extra double crochet there. So we're coming up on the end of round 3. And you just place 1 extra double crochet in the chain 5 space below it. Whoops. So right there is where you place the last double crochet. And then again, slip stitch into the third chain and slip stitch into the loop itself. So that completes your first granny square, and again you have to make 11 more for a total of 12. You can go ahead and cut the yarn off there and pull through. And I'll show you how to attach it. So I've gone ahead and made 12 granny squares, 6 for each slipper. So how we're going to lay it out is there's going to be 2 that make up the bottom, basically, and 2 that make up the sides. They're going to be kind of folded over, and then 1 that makes the heel and 1 that makes the toe, and there will be a big opening in the middle. So yeah, to get started, just grab a needle and a long piece of yarn and cut it off, and you'll just start by attaching 2 of them. So there's probably lots of ways to attach, but this is how I like to do it, and I think it looks really nice, so this is what I'm going to show you. So I pulled a piece of yarn through, and I just like to tie it on to secure it. And then to sew it in, I'm just going to be taking the inner loop of one and the inner loop of the other square, and just pulling it through that way. So again, just 1 loop from each side. And I always try to weave the ends in as I go. It just looks a lot nicer and it's more secure, and then you don't have to weave them all in at the end. So just continue to do that. And it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, because especially with this yarn that I'm using, it kind of blends in, which is nice. Okay. So don't tie it off or anything, just leave it the way it is, because you can keep using that same piece of yarn on that same needle for most of the slipper. So that's what it looks like, front and back. So then next you'll be attaching one there, so it kind of makes a triangle shape, I guess. So I've gone ahead and did that. I used the same piece of string, or yarn, whatever. So it's still attached there. And what we're going to do next is attach the toe piece so that the sides are able to fold in on it. So we're only going to be doing 2 sides of it. to begin with, and then we'll attach the side and attach the other side. So that's what it looks like when the toe is attached. And I'm still using the same piece of yarn. So you can just pick right back up where you left off. Still doing the same technique of the one loop from each side. And you're just going all the way across. And I'm going to show you this whole part just because it's kind of confusing, especially since you have to fold it over. And it doesn't matter which side you fold it over on. You're going to be turning the whole slipper inside out anyways when you're finished. So any loose ends will just be hidden. Okay, so we're finished with that one. So you can see that it's folded over. And as we go along, we're going to weave those ends in, just so they're out of the way. So you can fold the other side over and just continue along, just like you have been. Making sure those ends are kind of getting in between the strand. So I'll just speed it up for a second. I'm sure you probably get the gist of sewing the loops together by now. So now that we're close to the end, I'll show you what to do. You're just going to make sure that it's all closed up nice and tight. And then you can just tie a knot, and that'll be the end of that piece of yarn. I usually tie a couple knots, but I only showed one here. I just like my work to be really secured. So that's what it should look like. You've got the top, the bottom, and the two side pieces. It's starting to look like a slipper. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is add the second bottom piece. So you're just going to be sewing two sides with a new piece of yarn. You'll have to reattach it, and that's what it'll look like. So you've only sewn it to the bottom. And now you've just got one more square to sew in. And you can use that same piece of yarn again. So what you're going to do is you're basically going to attach corner to corner. It's a little bit confusing sometimes, but you're only going to do the back two sides, and the other two sides are going to make your opening. So that's what it looks like once you've attached it. This is your almost finished slipper. What I like to do is just make about 5 more stitches up the sides. That just makes it a little tighter to the foot, and it fits better that way. And then you can trim all your loose ends and turn it inside out, and this is what you should have. So it looks a little funny when it's not on a foot, but they're really comfy and they're really warm. So you can go ahead and make your other one, and this is the finished product. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it wasn't too confusing. And yeah, thanks for watching.